And I wanted to talk to you because you came into the kitchen tonight and you're like, oh my God, I just had the best therapy session. And I thought, how many 17-year-old guys walk into the kitchen and announce to their family that?
I don't know. I do not know.
Do you care?
No, not really.
Talk to me about therapy. Do you like therapy?
I would like to talk to your audience about therapy.
Okay, do it.
Guys, therapy is like, it's awesome. I love my therapist. I love therapy. When I was younger, I had a horrible experience with therapy. It was with this like old woman who like tried to convince me how to use an elevator because that's what I was afraid of. I was afraid of elevators. She was like, you need to ride the elevator. And I was like, I don't want to. And so I hated therapy. I hated it. And then I got a new therapist last year and it like changed my life.
How?
Because I just love having, it's almost like therapy is almost like having a notebook, but you don't have to write and you actually get an answer back. So you don't have to like take the time and your hand hurts and all that stuff to like write down your thoughts. You just say it and then they say something back to you. And it doesn't have to help, but it's just nice to hear someone say something that isn't part of your friend group or a family member. They're just someone that's there to listen, and maybe that's all they need to do. And I love therapy, and I would fully recommend therapy to anyone because no, it's not like some bad thing. And if you have a therapist, you're super messed up in the head and like everything in your life is going to shit. Like, no, therapy rocks. You can have it when you're perfectly fine and happy. I think everyone should have a therapist because it's just the best.
I agree with you. And the thing that I realize now is had I gone and worked with a therapist, Oak, when things were going okay,
they probably wouldn't have gone back.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah. Because I hate to burst your bubble, but you are not going to be able to solve all your problems, and your friends with the similar age as you and the similar mindset will not be able to solve the same problems that you have.
Oh my God. Well, I'm so happy and appreciative that you were like, yeah, I'll sit down on the mics with your mom and tell you why this therapy session with Keith was so awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you.
Of course.
Why did you want to do it?
Because I felt like I was in a good mood. And I was like, you know what? Like, I haven't done it in a while. Like, might as well I'll just jump in there and be nice.
Why do you think I wanted you to sit down with me and let everybody hear you tell me in real time what you talked to your therapist about tonight?
Because what you would probably say to me if I said no was it would benefit a lot of people, including you.
Yeah, it will. Because I hear every single day from parents around the world about how their kids and their sons in particular don't talk to them. And so it's a real, I think, gift to have you be willing to just sit down and have these conversations, because it gives parents and people with teenagers and college students and young adults in their lives, they actually forward these episodes, Oak, as a way to open up dialogue. And it's working. That's why people are asking so often and so frequently that we have you come back and back and back. So thank you.
Glad I can help.
All right. Well, let's see if this helps or not.
Let's do it.
Okay. You walked downstairs.
That I did.
And we were cooking dinner. And we had your sister on the FaceTime. She was playing a song for us. She just wrote. And you walked into the kitchen.
Yes, I did walk into the kitchen.
And you said,
I love my therapist, Keith.
And it was so funny. You just like strolled around. You're like, I love my therapist, Keith.
Yeah, I do. Shout out to Keith.
What-
Respect.
So what did you talk about in this session?
A lot of things.
Would you be willing to unpack it with me?
Yeah, I mean,
Can you just tell everybody why you wanted to share this? Like what? Because I think it's pretty cool that you're willing to.
do you want the honest answer or do you want the podcast answer?
Either.
The honest answer is that I came downstairs in a good mood and I said, I love Keith. And you said, will you record this with me? And I was in a good enough mood to say sure.
Oh, I like an honest answer. What's the podcast answer?
This is game-changing stuff right here. Life-changing.
Is it?
Depends on how they look at it.
Well, is it for you?
It's a viewpoint that I didn't consider.
About life?
Yeah.
So it was a life-changing therapy session you just had with your therapist, Keith.
Low-key. Yeah. It's like, yeah, little life change right there, a little like tweak in the direction that my life is going in.
Okay. I can't wait to hear it. So why did you start working with Keith in the first place? And then we'll hear about this life-changing session. How long have you been talking to Keith?
Started when? Last year, April? Was it May? It was April.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, April last year. So almost a year, kind of close to a year, a few months away. Sophomore year, and it was weird because freshman year and sophomore year, there was a moment in time in my school life or in my life in the same point in time. It was, I remember the exact time. It was like March. It was like a March time. It was like becoming spring, but still kind of chilly. That's like the memory that I have from these points in time where it wasn't depression. And it wasn't like, I think it was anxiety.
Okay.
It was overwhelming anxiety in my freshman and sophomore year. And it went away. Like freshman year happened in March. It was about 3 weeks gone. Forgot about it.
Hold on a second. I don't remember you having anxiety.
Because I never told you about it.
Why?
Because I didn't want to make it a huge thing. And I didn't want to go to therapy. And I didn't want to like get into that. I didn't want to get into that.
Wait.
I was like, I can do this. I can solve this. I can get over this. Like, we're good. And we were good freshman year.
Wait, hold on a second though. Stop the train.
Stop the phone.
Stop the train. I want to get off.
Don't you dare do that to me.
John Mayer.
We'll include that later.
I had no idea that you were struggling with anxiety for 3 weeks in freshman year of high school. Why did you hide this from me?
I've struggled with anxiety my whole life. The when I talk about that specific time period, it's when my anxiety was at this like weird peak where I just like couldn't really do anything. And I was terrified.
Of what?
No idea. Like I couldn't tell you freshman year. And I'll get into what it was later because I know now, but this is probably going to terrify you.
Oh,
I don't know if you've heard this story.
I don't know.
I wrote a memoir about it in sophomore year. So there was this one day in freshman year that I remember. That's like basically the only thing that I remember from when I was anxious like that. And this was actually the first day that I came. I wrote this memoir called The Blue Ceiling because artsy. And like there was this like moment where like later in the day I'll get into it. But anyways, I woke up and it was one of those March days where it was like there was no snow, but it was like kind of like foggy and misty.
Yeah.
And where we live, like when you look out the windows, like you can't see anything. So it like you feel like you're in like a snow globe. And so I woke up and it was like one of those days where I was in a snow globe and I was like, you know what, like I'm just gonna like stay in bed and watch some TV. Like that sounds nice.
Okay.
And so I was doing that and all of a sudden, like boom, like semi truck hits me, like I'm lightheaded, I'm confused, I'm like, what's going on? Like nothing feels normal, like I don't feel safe right now, like I'm really scared, I don't know what to do, like I need to get out of my room, like I need to go. And so I like open the door, I go downstairs and I see Dad sitting in front of the fire and he's like, hey dude, what's up? And I was like, I didn't tell him that I was freaking out, but I like looked at him and I was like, I'm okay, like it's whatever. And then I like walked outside. I like looked around, I like took a deep breath. I was like, whatever this is, like you've been anxious before, like you can get over this, like it's fine. Then I go back inside.
Yeah.
I wanted to hug Dad. I wanted to like, I don't know, I wanted to do something. I wanted to reach out. I wanted to get help. I wanted something. And I couldn't do it. Like I just couldn't. I didn't want to.
Why?
Because I didn't want to get into it. I didn't want it to become a process. I didn't want to have to do stuff because I felt like I knew what I was doing. And then what happened is I went back up to my room. I kept watching TV and I remember going back downstairs to find Dad, and he wasn't there. And then I look towards the kitchen, and I like, oh my God, like Rick, like thinking about this moment is so like weird and scary, and like I would never do this ever, and it's super out of character. But I looked in the kitchen, and like you're gonna be very nervous when you hear this. And I looked, also, maybe trigger warning for the viewers. I mean, listeners. Sorry, guys. Maybe trigger warning for the listeners. But I looked at the kitchen, and I looked at like the knife holder.
Uh-huh.
And like I like almost like a movie, like I could fully imagine myself like stabbing myself in the stomach with a knife. And like part of me was like, I should. And I was like, holy fucking shit, like this is not happening right now. Like I am not suicidal. Like I don't want to kill myself. Like I want to live. So like I go back outside. I'm like hyperventilating. I'm like hyperventilating right now. And I like look around. I'm like breathing in and out. I'm like I'm gonna be okay. Like it's all okay. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. And like there was this feeling of lightheadedness, and I just couldn't think clearly. And I felt like nothing I would do in that moment would ever matter. And so why do anything? And so that's why I had that thought, is like I should just like stab myself, because like if I do something and it doesn't matter, like why do it? Like why do anything? So like why would I keep living my life if nothing I do will ever matter? Like why not just end it now? Then that night, the reason the memoir was called The Blue Ceiling is because later that night I had this like ceiling projector. It was like, it projected like this blue night sky onto my ceiling. It was super cool. Still have it. And I just like remember, this is going to be like such a main character moment, but it was like, and it is, I will fully admit to that. But I reached my hand up, and I like looked at my outline of my hand, and I was just like crying for no reason. In like the darkness of my room, is like my ceiling was blue, and like that was the only light, and I was just like looking at my hand outline and crying and just being terrified. And then it basically just like went away. It was gone. I never thought about it again. Freshman year, like it was gone. Didn't think about it.
Can I ask a question?
Go for it.
Are you nervous about what I might ask?
No, not really.
Well, first I just want to say thank you for telling me.
I feel like I told you that before, right?
Not that part, no.
I could give you the memoir and you could read it on your own time if you wanted to.
I would love to.
I would be happy to give it to you.
I think it's really odd that you never told me that.
I forgot
because we have
it.
a really good,
oh my God,
open
we have a
relationship.
Great relationship, as stated in the family podcast episode.
Will
which
you
was
stop? Okay,
wonderful. I'm plugging, Mom.
I know. No, but so number one, I'm surprised that you never shared that with me.
I know why I didn't share it with you.
Why?
I didn't share it with you because 2 reasons.
Okay.
The first one was I didn't want to get into it. I didn't want to get a therapist. I didn't want to go on meds. I had horrible experiences with meds and therapists in my past, and I didn't want to go back into it because I was just like, no thanks. And 2 was because since I've had anxiety my whole life. Like I wouldn't say every day, but like every week I've probably had like a small anxious panic, if you will. Like oh my goodness, I'm like anxious right now. Like I'm anxious, I'm nervous, whatever. And like I can handle it. I can do it.
Yep.
And so I felt like I could handle it. And like the reason I didn't tell you is because I was like, I thought I handled it. Like I was like, it's over. Like it didn't come back.
That's interesting.
It did not come back.
Yeah. Okay, I want to say one other thing. I want to address the fact that you may be listening to us talking about a very serious topic, and we're giggling and we're light about it.
People laugh when they're uncomfortable.
Oh,
except
true.
I wouldn't say I'm uncomfortable. I don't know if I'm uncomfortable right now, but I'm just like, I don't know. I feel like this is easier to talk about when I can like throw in a joke.
Got it.
Have some fun.
That makes sense. You know, Oak, I want to specifically address what you said about that thought that you had about the knife, because those kinds of thoughts that are really big, scary, overwhelming thoughts, they can seem uncontrollable because they can come out of nowhere and they can start to get more and more frequent and overwhelming. They are very normal. In fact, according to therapists, almost everyone has experienced a situation like the one you described. But I want to talk further about this topic because it's helpful to talk about it. So hold on to that thought because I know there's more that we're going to talk about, because I got to pause real quick for a word from our sponsors, and we're going to be right back. By the way, you're actually watching an episode of the Mel Robbins podcast, Behind the Scenes.
Yeah.
So make sure you subscribe on YouTube and
Yep.
also follow the show wherever you listen to podcasts. You want to know why? Because the more this show grows, the more we can continue to bring this to you at zero cost. And that's a really big deal for us. So thank you for supporting us by subscribing to YouTube and by also following the Mel Robbins podcast on a podcast platform.
Yeah.
All right, back to the show.
Cool.
Welcome back. I'm Mel Robbins, and I'm so excited you're here because I'm talking to our 17-year-old son, Oakley, and he's just in real time unpacking a killer therapy session that he had tonight with Keith.
30 minutes ago, I got off the phone. I feel like you're supposed to wait a day, but no, we just jumped right in.
We just jumped right in. We are a deep end kind of family. Let's go, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Here's the other thing I wanted to say. We have 2 years from this, meaning we've had 2 years distance from this topic.
From the freshman topic.
Yes,
Yeah,
you're in a amazing place mentally, spiritually.
Fantastically.
Yeah, and so there is no danger.
No.
And so I'm not triggered by that. And the other thing I wanted to say is, would it surprise you to hear that having thoughts or a fleeting thought about ending your life or dying some death like that is normal?
Yeah. Because I feel like suicidal thoughts I feel like it's been talked about to the point where it's like, you're at the worst of the worst if there's suicidal thoughts. Like, this is where like shit is going down. Like, it's bad. Like, this is bad. Like, this is the worst of the worst. Like, this is horrible. Like,
I get it. Like, you're at the end of the line. When
so,
the
like,
truth is,
so when you hear that somebody has suicide, like when you just said, would you think it's normal that most people do? Like, I'd say no, because it's like,
no, most people do.
I wouldn't expect everybody to be at the worst of the worst, even though.
Oh, I see what you're saying. What you're saying is this. Because this has been talked about so much, particularly to your age group.
Yeah.
It makes you think that when you have a thought like that.
It's more just that, like, I feel like it's talked about where it's like, it's only like the people with the worst condition are going to have that.
Got it.
So it's not, so like when you say like, oh, everybody has it, like, I'm like, really? Like, I feel like it's only the worst of the worst that.
Because of, no, it's normal to have those kinds of thoughts. So I just wanted to address what might sound like a weird tone or an insensitive tone to say, we're 2 years away from it. Oakley's in an insanely amazing place. Oakley is in an incredible place in his life, in his mental health, his spiritual health. He's just happy. And
Period.
It's somewhat normal to have those kind of thoughts. And it's very clear that and one of the things that I think is very important, I've said it over and over and over again, is this. There's a big difference between wanting to end the pain or the anguish that you're feeling right now and actually wanting to end your life. You can figure out how to lessen the pain or the sadness or the weirdness or the anxiety that you're feeling. And you can do that, and you don't have to end your life. In fact, you make your life better by talking about these things that are overwhelming you and asking for help.
Because you can't just keep them inside.
No. Because what happens when you keep them inside?
It's kind of like a Coke can. Like when you shake it up, and then it explodes.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I'm proud of you for talking about this, Oak. Because it can be torture if you've got that trapped in your own head.
Oh my God, it's horrible.
And I think most people, including the people that we've lost, that we love, to death by suicide, I still would say most people, if somebody had assured them, if I can take away all the pain that you're feeling and you could still have your life, would you want to be here?
Hell yeah.
Right?
Hell yeah.
Exactly. Now, I want to talk to you listening and just check in with you. And what I specifically want to make sure that you hear me say is that it is normal to have these big, scary, and overwhelming thoughts. And when they come out of nowhere or they seem to get louder and louder, it can be terrifying. I know it was terrifying when this all started happening with Oakley. And I'm telling you that this is normal because so many people suffer because they believe that the thoughts will never go away.
That's what I believed. I thought it would never end, and I didn't want to live the rest of my life with those thoughts.
Now, if you knew the thoughts were going to end, would it have made you feel better?
Yeah.
If you knew having those thoughts pop in your mind was perfectly normal, would that make you have felt better in that moment?
Kinda, yeah.
I'm glad that you said that, Oak, because I think so many people, when they start to suffer because of these really scary thoughts, they don't tell anybody.
I didn't want to tell anyone.
I know, and I wish you would have told me. I wish you hadn't suffered alone. I wish you would have told somebody, because the second that you start to talk about it, it immediately relieves you of the burden of carrying this on your own.
Right.
You can figure out how to lessen the pain or the sadness or these awful, like, kind of thoughts that keep popping into your head. You can do that. And you can do that, and you don't have to end your life. In fact, when you do that, you make your life better.
Mm-hmm. How?
And that's why I'm saying this to you as you're listening to me in Oakley. Tell someone if you're having big and scary and overwhelming thoughts.
Tell anyone. Just tell anyone.
I also want to tell you, if you're having big and scary and overwhelming thoughts, you're not fucked up.
No.
Those thoughts are temporary. They will pass. And they're going to pass so much quicker when you get them out of your head and you tell someone. You know, my friend Amy, who you know, Oak, she said when you have big, scary thoughts like that, she heard a therapist say it's like being trapped in a paper bag. You can't see anything. You can't think of anything else to do. It sort of clouds your mind. But the second you find the courage to say it out loud to somebody, it's like that paper bag. It just shreds. And you'll realize and you'll see that you're not alone anymore. There are people there that can help you and will help you. And what you're experiencing is normal. And you can get through this. And so I had a question because, you know, you just said to everybody, Oak, that you didn't tell me about what was happening freshman year.
No.
And what would you advise somebody who is listening to this right now, who relates to what you're talking about, and maybe they haven't told anyone? The reason why I'm asking this is I know so many parents and aunts and uncles and teachers and therapists are going to forward this episode to young adults and college students in their life, and just people they're worried about. So knowing that you just explained that you were worried I would make something of it, you didn't want to get into it, you thought you could handle it, knowing what you know now, what would you say to that person who hasn't told somebody?
Well, if you are close in age to me, I don't know, teenager, mid-20s, I don't know, college, high school, middle school, whatever, it does not matter what is going on in your head. If it is overwhelming, if it is scary, if it is stopping you from doing things that you can normally do, you should always, 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 always tell someone. And you may be worried that it'll make things weird or it'll change things in your life. And it most likely will, but it is going to change your life for the better. In the beginning, for me at least, I thought to myself that, hey, I can keep this in. Like, I've done it before. I've done it 10,000 times before. Like, I can do it again. And yeah, you can do it in the beginning. But instead of waiting till you collapse, just get it over with right in the beginning and tell someone. That's all you have to do.
It'll make it better.
It will make it better.
Do you wish you had told me earlier when it was happening in 9th grade?
Yeah.
I do too.
Because I doubt it would have come back in sophomore year.
Ooh, good point. Welcome to
the Mel Robbins podcast.
That is Oakley Robbins.
Hey guys.
I wanted to talk to you because you came into the kitchen tonight and you're like, oh my God, I just had the best therapy session.